Rural Idaho is a great location for an avid fisherman. Steve Nadal is a retired past president of Dixie State University who came along at just the right time in the history of the school. Dr. Nadal has a BA degree in chemistry, an MBA from Harvard, and a PhD in finance. Somehow he ended up in education.
I had talked to Dallin Oaks about my interest in being a university professor. He made a nomination to the Weber State folks, and I went through the interview process, and the regents hired me at age 43 to be a young president of Weber State College. And so while I was there, Weber went from being Weber State College to Weber State University. A lot of years after Weber, 20 or 25, I got a telephone call in February from the Commissioner of Higher Education, Dave Buehler. Dave said, "Steve, we're making a change in leadership at Dixie. Would you be willing to go down and be an interim president for a few months?" I said, "Hang on, Dave." I said, "Margaret, you want to go to St. George for a few months?" She said, "Sure." So I said, "Dave, I don't need to call you back." There was 3 feet of snow in our backyard. And I said, "Dave, we're in. Whenever you want to make that change, we're ready." All of the emotion and feeling that they had for their ancestors and for that countryside, the terrain, the red rocks, all of that and a lot more was encompassed in the term Dixie. And they wanted me to be part of them. And I wanted to, because I knew to be helpful, I had to be accepted. I said, "We can do this." And they bought into it. So the regent said, "Well, why don't you just stay? We'll make you the permanent president." And I said, "Let's do that. We're in. We're all in." And I said to them, "Now, let's make this a university." They said, "We're going to have a Holland building here, we're going to have the clock tower here, and it's going to signal university." And I was delighted that we could pull it off.
Today, the name has changed to Utah Tech University, with more than 12,000 students, 3 times the entire population of St. George when I was growing up. I can't help but think how amazed my grandpa would be to see the school today and to still feel the spirit that brought us here.
I know there's been a great deal of discussion over, are we losing some of that Dixie pioneer spirit as a result of name changes in our community? I prefer to look at it as progress and as the new iteration.
You know, I'm talking about the fondness that we locals have in this area, but that doesn't translate well in New York City or Denver even. People just don't understand that. And I think it's a service to the students to be able to have on their resumes Utah Tech University. So it's I think just a natural evolution that had to happen. But I don't think there's any need to abandon that tradition.
We first came here on campus, my family, we went to the encampment mall, and my father-in-law pointed out to me, he says, "You know, one of your descendants is on here, Israel Dodge Alphin," and he pointed to the name. And so I think about that all the time. As the president of the university, I not only have an obligation to every student that steps foot on our campus, every community member that supports this university, but it's also my personal family. I have to live up to that legacy that they have left for us. So when I came on campus, I saw the new Holland building, and you could feel the wonderful progress that had been made. But I also looked at the mural, and you could see the past. And as I walked around campus, I just felt this tremendous energy of what was, but also what could be. Just in the last 10 years since we've become a university, we've added over 200 academic programs. We also added infrastructure. They said we need state-of-the-art buildings. We also adopted the Polytechnic model, which really emphasizes that hands-on learning and that career readiness. We also increased our enrollment by 50%, which is just unheard of in the United States. We also transitioned our athletics team to Division I. The trailblazing spirit for me is as strong as it's ever been. I really love the story of our new school song because it identifies all the key components of how important our history is, to our progress as we move forward into the future.
I grew up being very, very proud of that song was written by my grandpa, by A.K. Hafen. And the song has always been so dear to my heart. It's so awesome, though, as you look at the transition. My son-in-law, Ricky Valadez, wrote the words and the music to the New School song. That's an awesome connection and transition in my heart. As soon as you hear the first beat of the New School song, you immediately realize we're in a new era, we're in a new chapter of this whole Dixie story going forward. And there's some parallels there. In that song, you hear the Red Rocks Call.
The Red Rocks Call, the journey's on. Tread this dirt and you're never the same. At Utah Tech, it runs in our veins with
Both songs portray a sense of purpose and meaning drawn from this area and a sense of identity from the past and destiny for the future. I remember the first time I stepped through the magnificent archway of the old Dixie building. I felt like I was stepping onto the shoulders of countless great people I'd never met. We live in a fully enlightened present. But as Alexis de Tocqueville said, when the past no longer illuminates the future, the spirit walks in darkness. There's something profoundly universal about the Dixie story, a story written on the rocks around us. It's a story that always has and always will cast a bright and hopeful light on the future.